Hi, thanks for checking in again. I'd like to talk today about being yourself. I've had a hard time being myself. I've also often hid myself from the world. I haven't allowed myself to be fully me because I don't accept myself. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in, or I tell myself I don't fit in. I've always had a hard time fitting in. I was a wallflower all through high school and much of college. I spent most of college sort of pent up in my apartment, smoking weed and struggling with chronic pain and depression. And the only person I really connected with was my partner at the time. And I've always isolated myself. And when I am with people, I often feel like I'd rather be someone else. When I get into my darkest moments, I find myself being very emotional and crying and saying, I don't want to be in this body. I don't want to be this person. But I don't even know who this person is because I've never allowed myself to fully be. I've never allowed myself to fully express myself and to come out of my shell and to share myself with the world. I've never allowed myself to do that because I decided a long time ago that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't worthy, that there was something wrong with me. And I spend much of my life comparing myself to other people. I think a lot of people do this. They compare themselves to other people. And there's a lot of times it seems like other people are living a more graceful and joyful life than me. And perhaps they are. Or perhaps that's just a perception. Perhaps it's just the story that I'm putting on the situation. Perhaps they're struggling even more than me. They're just really good at hiding it. I've never been good at hiding it. I've never been good at hiding it. My depression has been very much on the surface. But what happens when we compare ourselves to other people? Right? No two people are alike, and my journey is completely unique to mine. I have my own karma I'm working through. I have my own intentions that I brought into this life. I have my own challenges, my own limitations, and my own strengths, and my own gifts, and my own blessings, and they're unique to me. But I judge myself for them. I judge myself for not being like other people. But no one's like anyone else, right? I mean, it's this silly thing. I think a lot of people do this. We judge ourselves for being unlike others. But that's what makes us beautiful, is that we're unique individuals. And so growth means loving ourselves for who we are. Show yourself to know yourself. I truly feel like at this stage of my life, I don't know who I am. I found myself saying that a lot lately, especially in some dark moments where I'm just really scared and really overwhelmed, and I tell myself, I don't know who I am. Everything's changing so fast. Every time I think I have an identity, it collapses. And then I have to rise from the ashes again and try to form a new identity, and then that collapses. That's been going on for years and years and years, and I didn't understand what was happening. Eventually, I got into astrology within the past year. Some of you might be watching this and being like, astrology? What is this shit? Are we getting woo here? I'm gonna get a little woo. I never bought astrology up until about 6 months ago. I went into this astrologist's office. He mixes astrology, hypnotherapy, and life coaching. And I was going to see him for the hypnotherapy. But he kept coming back to the astrology. And I was like, okay, all right, let's look at this thing, whatever. And by the end of my time working with him, that's what I wanted to look at. I didn't care about the hypnotherapy or the life coaching. I was like, can you show me more about this chart? Can you tell me more about what does this thing symbolize? I was hooked because this guy was able to tell me my life story. And I come into his office And he tells me, he pulls out my chart and he looks at it and he says, there's something peculiar happening here. There's something that most people don't experience. And it's called a Pluto transit the moon. And it's happening at the same time as your Saturn return. Oh, and by the way, this Pluto transit the moon is the fourth Pluto transit that you've experienced in the past decade and a half. I'm not an astrologist or astrologer, and so I'm not the best person to explain this. But just to quickly sum it up, the Saturn return is something that happens every 29 years, and it involves sort of an uprooting. The way I think of it as that we have a path that we intended to go down in this life. We have, you might call it the Tao, you might call it God's plan, you might call it the way. There's some sort of path of purpose that we're discovering in this life, and we get off track. And the way I think of the Saturn return is it's this upheaval that the universe gives us once every 29 years to get us back on track. It gives us an opportunity to make significant changes to get back on track. Pluto transit, Pluto represents death and rebirth. And so Pluto transit is another upheaval. It's another way the universe turns things upside down and gives us an opportunity to see things in a different way and to change and to grow and to evolve. But they both can be very difficult and very painful, especially the Pluto transit. I was reading on one website, one astrology website, and they said, Pluto burns everything to the ground. Pluto is the ultimate phoenix symbol in astrology. And I've had 4 of these things in my life. And you don't have to believe this stuff. I'm a believer at this point, but you don't have to believe this stuff. My point is that I have struggled for a long time to find a sense of identity. And that has been very tied in to my struggle to find a place of belonging, identity and belonging. These two things have been very elusive for me. And I've reached a place in my life where I'm exhausted. I'm so tired of searching. I'm so tired of trying to define myself. I'm so tired of trying to belong somewhere, to fit in. And ultimately, what I think it comes down to is I don't need to fit in. Right? I mean, do I need to belong somewhere? Do I need to even have an identity? Those are all stories that my mind is putting on things. If I want to know who I am, it's not a decision. I don't decide my identity. I discover it. I discover it by following my passions, following my excitements, showing myself to know myself. And it's hard to show yourself to know yourself. Because when you show yourself, you see the parts of yourself that you don't want to see, as well as the good ones. You get both. You get both, and you can't not get both. When you fully allow yourself to be in the world and fully allow yourself to come through and express your authentic being, then you see all of your beauty and all of your ugliness at the same time. And when you struggle to belong, when belonging becomes an external phenomenon rather than an internal phenomenon, right? Belonging could be as simple as feeling comfortable in my body and loving myself and knowing that the entire earth is my home and I can go anywhere and I will belong there because no matter where I go, I'm right where I need to be. But when I try to make belonging into this external phenomenon, it turns into unauthentic behavior, trying to fit into social groups or fit into the workplace or fit into a career path that maybe doesn't resonate with me, doesn't serve me. But I think it's what I'm supposed to do anyways. These two things, identity and belonging, are very tied into one another. I don't think we can know who we really are until we accept where we are. And I don't think we can be where we need to be until we find out who we really are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start being more of myself. I'm going to start letting go of the resistance, letting go of the fear about what others think of me, embracing that discomfort that comes from connecting with other people, that social anxiety. Embrace it. Transmute that anxiety into excitement. And through doing so, I will get to know myself, and it will be a bumpy process, and at times I'll embarrass myself, and at times I might hurt people's feelings, and at times I might be shocked at just how much of myself I want to work on. Because that ugliness you see when you show yourself, the beauty and the ugliness, that ugliness isn't really ugliness. It's simply the opposite of who we want to be, you know? Maybe a better way of phrasing it is, when you fully show yourself, you see everything that you are, that which you desire and that which you do not desire. And seeing the parts of yourself that you are not happy with, that you wish were different, that's painful, that's hard, it's humbling. And if it involves interacting with other people in a way that you're not proud of, then it can be shameful and guiltful. It can make you feel guilty. You know, if the parts of yourself that you're not proud of involve hurting other people, which is often the case, then there can be a lot of shame and guilt there. But you have to see that part of yourself. You have to allow that part of yourself to be. You have to allow it to come through so that you can see it, so that you can change it. Because if you just hide it, if you know you're not happy with yourself fully, and so you just hide yourself in the world and you bottle it up, first of all, that means you're going to be isolated. You're not going to be connecting with people. And you're going to be manifesting problems in the body. And I think that might be part of what's going on with me. Some of those chronic pain issues might be the result of my resisting myself. You know, how much of that pain, physical and emotional, will go away if I simply allowed myself to be who I am in the world, open and honest. So that's what this channel is for me. It's an attempt to do that. Somehow it's a little bit easier with a camera than it is in person. But it has to happen in person too. I need to connect with people. Not just so I can know others, but so I can know myself. And that starts with accepting myself. I think that's everything. I think that's all I need to say. It's okay to be a work in progress. Love yourself for where you are. Embrace where you are. Let go of regret, let go of shame, let go of doubt. And just allow it to be washed away by love. Allow love to just cleanse you and heal you. And your life will become a dream. It's already a dream, actually, but it'll become the type of dream that you want it to be. Until you see more things that you need to work on, because it's a never-ending process. But the dream can just keep getting better and better and better. I realized that this past year of my life was the hardest year of my entire life. I've dealt with some hard years, but this was the hardest year of my life, but it was also the most beautiful year of my life. It was also the most amazing and wonderful year of my life. For the past 3 or 4 years in a row, each year has been the hardest, most transformative, and most beautiful and amazing year I've ever experienced in my life. Each year keeps getting more transformative, more challenging, and more beautiful. And I don't think that's an accident. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's cosmic. I think that's divinely intended. And I think I'm a beautiful person. And I can't wait to get to know me.